It was good, y'all. It's your boy JD6 here. I'm with my man. Shout out to KC Sports Authority. Make sure y'all go check that podcast out, man.
You heard the man. He is most certainly back. Flory Bidunga returns to Kansas on a new agreement for an NIL deal to keep the freshman sensation here in Kansas. Let's talk about it. Welcome into the KC Sports Authority podcast over here on YouTube, where we are live as well as on Twitter. Thank you to all of our subscribers out there. If you're new to the show, make sure you do hit that like and subscribe button below. You can also hit us up on any of our social media channels at KCSA Pod, but go ahead and smash the thumbs up button on here as we've got to talk some KU basketball. I'm the GOAT, Noah. Welcome already in. I think this is Noah Barkley. Other Noah, it looks like the same profile picture. So Noah, welcome in, different account. I love it. Subscribing to the channel from multiple accounts. I think everybody should do that.
Please.
Welcome in. But JB, a week ago, we were a little worried. We had a mass exodus. Literally the only guys on the team were guys that didn't play last year. Since then, some good things have happened. We said by the end of that episode that we weren't that worried yet. We were a little concerned, but we knew some things would kind of trickle down. Of course, it starts with Flory making the announcement within the last 24 hours that he is back to Kansas on a new agreement, new NIL deal, whatever that means. Again, have no understanding how these things work, but he has agreed to return to Kansas. Jayhawk Edits in here, Ray Merker's haircut. JB, fresh haircut. How do you feel?
Dude, it feels nice. I'm like, here's the problem. So let me fix. I had something pop up on my screen. Here's the deal. I'm well aware the hair is leaving. It's like, hey man, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna pay rent on this place. Like, I gotta go, and I'm holding on to it while I still can. You know, it's that hairline's gone. Not feeling pretty about it, but also like, I'm a dad in my 30s, and I feel like I don't have to worry about a hairline anymore. But as long as I still got something to show off, I'm gonna have Jessica out in Lawrence, Kansas at Tailored Men. Shout out Jessica, love you. She's been cutting my hair for like 15 years or whatever, ever since I went to KU. So, man,
and you're still making the drive back over to Lawrence for it.
I drive to Lawrence for almost every haircut. I mean, it's tough. She's got certain hours that sometimes I can't get to. You know, I've got a job as well. But man, it's worth it when I can find time, get out there. And I was in Lawrence this evening, I should say, and man, felt good to be back home. Felt good. So honestly, and that's how we're feeling about the transfer portal updates that we've got for you tonight. I mean, honestly, it, like you said, it was kind of a mass exodus a week ago. And I think at the last time that we were recording, I think we still had AJ Storr at the time, but then he left. I think
so. Yeah. I think when we recorded, it was the next day he announced he was going, because we said we were surprised he hadn't done so yet. And of course, enters the portal. But yeah, let's get into some of the details. Well, of course, we're going to talk about KU side, but Diggy Coit made an agreement with Maryland. So he's transferring to Maryland. Wish him the best of luck.
It's a great spot for him.
I think he's going to have an opportunity to score a lot. But yeah, Flory has returned. That was the fear. Robert said, hey, I told you guys he was coming back. Well, he is back, and we're all grateful for it. There was some worry that Auburn was going to scoop in and take him. But he is back, and that solves a massive hole. There was nobody, Bryson Tiller, there was some thought on he might leave. He comes back, but there really wasn't anybody to man down the 5 spot. And Flory's going to come in for a sophomore season. A little undersized height-wise at 6'9", 210, 215. I think he's going to put on some muscle this offseason, get bigger, get stronger. And I think we're really in store for a big sophomore season with Flory, especially the way he's going to fit in around this roster, as we're going to get into, because there were some other additions. And then, of course, I'm going to get your take on some guys you think we still need to add, what we're looking for in the portal, as well as those of you in the chat. Feel free to let us know what you want. And Pokes, you already put it in here. We'll put it here in a minute. But first, just reaction to the Flory coming back. I'm sure that shot your confidence up a lot higher on that. This roster could be put together.
I would say there was a brief moment in time where I'm like, man, like there really is a lot of Auburn hype right now. That was scary. The no contact tag was supposed to be something that made us feel happy, made us feel a little bit more secure. And I think to a certain extent it did, but the thoughts were always creeping in like, well, maybe he already knows where he wants to go. And last year, I say last year, it was this season, we had a bit of turmoil, I guess, in a word, turmoil in the roster, turmoil in the locker room, and
Mhm.
it was something where it was players against coaches, and maybe I don't know. I'm sitting here thinking, is he gonna leave just because he doesn't like Bill Self or the style of coaching? I mean, that's a valid reason to leave, I'd say, if you just feel like you're not a good fit in the guy's program. But the thing is, he is a good fit
Mm.
for us. The thing is, he is going to be our starting center. So all the logic in my brain was like, he's coming back. I was about 80% confident he would come back when I saw that he entered his name into the portal, and I'm just happy that we stayed
Yep.
true to that 80%. He was the guy that we needed to bring back, and not only that. I mean, I know that before he made his announcement to come back, I know that Darren Peterson doubled down on his commitment to Kansas,
Mhm.
but you got to think like, man, knowing that he is back, it just reinforces what Darren Peterson's
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people might call me crazy. I put a lot of value in Darren Peterson saying that he's excited to play with Flory the most out of anybody. I know it was just like a quick question. He had no time
I'm
to really
sure it
think
was
about it.
also a little pre-rehearsed practice to go, hey, the
Oh
only
yeah,
guy that we feel really good about as a program wanting back is Flory. So why don't you
yeah.
say that, make everybody feel good? But yeah, I never bought into the situational thing of he needed a new situation, new team, new coaching. It was always a money grab for me. And I guess that's what it turns out to be. I still look at the handlers, his agents, whoever, his guardians, as this being a money grab. But super pumped that Flory's back again. I think he's going to have a big season. I think he fits very well athletically alongside Darren Peterson. Definitely, I mean, Flory has some weaknesses to his game. He's not strong enough yet. He got pushed around by bigger guys, but boy, that athletic fit he's got is fantastic. He's a monster on the rebounds. We got into, I guess we didn't get into it, but put out there on Twitter today. About Flory and all that, and somebody was like, "Who's going to freaking rebound Flory?" And I was like, "Flory's going to rebound. This guy is top 90% percentile in rebounding." And of course, a couple people commented back and forth. If you want to go look at that, go check out our Twitter page over on X. But a couple people responding back that they think we need a lot more rebounding, and we'll get into
That's
rebounding a little
fair.
bit because one of the additions I think is a solid rebounder, and in a situation now where he'll have some more opportunities to get boards. But yeah, grateful that Flory is back. I don't like this landscape that we're in of college athletics with the transfer portal being what it is, NIL being what it is. But Flory is back. That was number one for me. I think going into this offseason, that was number one, was securing, keeping Flory and having that two-headed monster of Flory and Darren Peterson, and then building around that. Pokes getting Flory back is a big deal. But like you said, he needs to make some sophomore jump. Yep, big sophomore jump. It'll also be interesting to see Marco. He was hyped up. Yep. Both those guys, I think, are going to be in line to have big sophomore jumps, especially Marco because he's got a whole year of rehab and
Well,
another time in the system.
I
But
would hope
I
so.
know you were not as high on Marco being that big jump yet, but I
I
think he's going to be fine. But yeah, I think if Flory gets in the weight room and adds 15 pounds this offseason of muscle and gets a little bigger, I think he's going to develop quite a bit. But
There's
definitely
nothing
something to
stopping
think
him
about.
from that. Like I feel like there's so much criticism. I should maybe I shouldn't phrase it like that. So much criticism, but there is criticism about elements of his game, and I feel like we're all forgetting that he was a freshman. It's like we will
He's only been
see
playing basketball a couple of years
that too, but
and had to play behind a 7-foot All-American candidate.
yeah, I mean, how many times have we seen star players come in and make a big jump from their freshman year? It's only natural that he's going to make a jump, and these are these shortcomings are things that we can tackle in the off season. If he is dedicated and if he's on campus, if he's working with our staff throughout the summer and throughout the first part of the fall semester, I mean, we're going to be looking at a monster next season because he's going to get minutes. He's going to get all the rebounds that we're all scared he won't. And he's going to get all the blocks that he's been getting and more. He is so important to this team. I can't speak enough on how amazing it was to hear and have it confirmed that he's coming back.
Yeah, again, big. There was, as you were looking, I mean, we talked about last week, as you look across the transfer portal landscape, there weren't that many 5-men out there.
Not a lot.
Really fit what KU needed, and there weren't that many options. So if Flory wasn't the answer, you didn't feel as good about who was coming in. So getting Flory was huge. Adam Sullivan, of course, always putting out their good stuff. Got to stay out of foul trouble for sure. I think that a lot of that's being a freshman. I think that's something he'll learn and practice over the offseason, get better at. But let's talk about the other 2 additions. Now, I'm not going to do a deep dive into these guys because there's been plenty of talk of that already the last 72 to 96 hours. But these are the other 2 latest additions, official additions. Combo guard, shooting guard, wing. Jaden Dawson signed out of Loyola, Chicago. 6'4", 200-pound-ish shooting guard, good size, good athleticism, could really light it up from 3. High volume shooter. I think he's going to fit in great. And then, of course, the 6'7" wing forward, Trey White out of Illinois, coming off of a 10.5 rebound a game average. Both those guys, I think, are good fits. They're not the best of the portal. They're not the biggest names in the portal, but I think they're 2 guys that fit the mold of what Bill Self is looking for.
What we need.
And 2 guys that fit a need. So let's talk about it. Give me your thoughts on Jaden Dawson first. What do you like?
So my favorite thing about him, I just love that he's not coming from this huge program. I love Loyola. I'm originally from Chicago. Like I'm a big fan.
Sister Jean.
That's right, Sister Jean. And honestly, I think this is you said it. It's a great fit. We need a guy that can come in and just be a 3-and-D guy, and that's him. But he's so much more than that. This is a player that can come into this program and understand that he doesn't have to be the guy. He's not. We don't need the AJ Stores of the transfer portal to come into our program. We need guys that can come in and fit a role, because I think what Bill Self is doing. A lot of sources have talked about this, but what Bill Self is doing is he is taking the time to figure out who his best fits will be alongside one specific player. Obviously, Darren Peterson. He's going to run the show, and hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean, we're going all in. We're putting all our eggs in one basket here, like all of them, every single egg in the Darren Peterson basket. And when we do that, honestly, it's going to be worth it. It's high risk, high reward, but it's going to be worth it when Darren Peterson turns out to be the player that he is, and when he has guys around him like Dawson that can just catch and shoot if we need someone to catch and shoot, someone that can spread the floor, someone that can open up lanes for Darren to drive and just dunk it straight through the defense. I mean, this is the type of player that you want coming into this program. Of course, Trey White has a lot of elements to, not exactly the same as Dawson, obviously, but a lot of elements to his game that complement Darren Peterson as well.
Dawson, I think, is going to be fun. He's going to be great. I think early on, it might take fans a little bit to get excited about him, because he doesn't like push the needle a ton for you. But I would encourage you guys to go back and watch some tape of him. But it's just like Noah said right here, these 2 are both 2-way player type guys. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Jaden Dawson, to me, the 2 things that stood out to me when I just looked at box scores first off, before I got into his tape, just looking at box scores, high on the go off meter. This is a guy that had multiple games shooting 10+ threes, about a dozen games of 7+ threes, shot 36% from 3, which is pretty efficient considering the volume he's shooting at. If you're shooting 36% on 10 threes a night, that's not that bad. over the course of the year. That's still above average. That would have been second best on this team last year behind Zeke. So I really like that aspect that he can get a shot up. He's physical. He's got good size. We kind of said last week or 2 weeks ago that we needed a Wayne Selden type guard that's physical. I think Jaden Dawson's a way better shooter than what Wayne was, but a physical guard that can use that size and athleticism on the court. But he's also just as effective defensively. He's a guy that can play on ball defense. He can play great in the help defense. He's going to agitate you. He's going to use his athleticism and his strength to make guys struggle to get around him. So he's not a defensive liability. Nothing against Zeke, but Zeke was not a great defender. He was probably an average defender. I think Jaden Dawson already comes in and gives you the same shooting prowess that Zeke Mayo has, a better off the ball score than Zeke, because I think he's got a little bit more to his dribble drive game, and a better defender already. So I think that's huge. Dawson could slide in as the 2 guard. He could slide in as the 3 guard. He could be the 6 man. I think he's going to be really interesting to watch. I think a lot. I mean, if I had to guess today, El Marco's starting beside Darren Peterson, and Jaden Dawson's at the 3 because there's nobody else on this team unless you start Jamari McDowell. But I think Jaden Dawson's going to be great. Once you get into the tape on him, he's an effective 2-way player. Doesn't turn the ball over much. Can get a shot off. Can attack the rim a little bit. He averaged about three shot attempts per game in the paint, so he can get to the rim. Pretty solid free throw shooter. Love the fit. I think he's going to be fantastic. He's an upperclassman. He's going to bring some tenacity. He's going to bring some defensive prowess that we just didn't have out of our guards last year. We just did not have, even though KU, rankings wise, was way up there when it came to defensive rating as a full team. We didn't have many possessions where guards were going and getting a stop against the other team's guard. So I think Jaden Dawson's going to be great. Let me try and catch up here in the chat real quick while we're looking at that. Bill learned his lesson from last season. Yes, 100%. He said he needed guys that could fill a role, but it's very clear in these first 2 signings, he's not going after names. He's going after specific play types, guys that I can trust both sides of the ball. So I like that. Trey White, another 6'7" wing forward type, can play the 4, can play the 3. I think he's probably going to play more 4 at Kansas, with potential to play 3. Average 10 points a night, 5 rebounds a game, above average rebounder, above average defender, considering the way Illinois played. That might not translate exactly to the 4 spot the way we want, but that length and athleticism, I think, is what Bill is wanting out of the 4. I think KJ is probably a better one-on-one defender than Trey White is, but I think Trey White has the frame to be a solid defender as the 4-man, and he's athletic enough, I think, to help be a weak side rebounder with Flory down there. So I like the Trey White addition. Again, he doesn't jump off the screen at you. He's not going to light you up for 20, 25 a night, but he's a consistent player who's gonna consistently do what he does. Not a great 3-point shooter, about 32%, but a little bit higher from the corner. I think he's more of that slashing wing from the corner. Can attack, can cut. I think he gives you reminiscent of what Jalen Wilson was his sophomore year, where Jalen played a lot more of that cutting in the middle, attacking the glass, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. Could they get a spot up jumper if you needed him to, but he wasn't like a tremendous 3-point shooter by any means. So I love the fit so far. I think both of them are going to slot in tremendously with this group. As of right now, we project them both to be starters, just where we are sitting currently, which we'll get into the rest of the lineup here. But both guys, have, I think I said this last week, we also needed guys that could raise the floor, even if it doesn't push the ceiling up. I think both these 2 guys pulls the floor up, whether they're starting or coming off the bench, they pull the floor up quite a bit because they're both experienced. Trey White was a former Kansas commit. He was recruited Kansas coming out of high school and committed to Kansas before he changed course. Ended up going to USC. And then I'm going blanking where he was before Illinois. So this would be his 4th stop, if I'm not mistaken. And I might be mixing him up with somebody else. I apologize if I am.
He's 4 schools in 4 years.
I want to say it was like Rutgers or Maryland or I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. That's okay. I think Trey White's going to be a good fit. So like those additions so far. KU's been linked to a lot of other names. Some of the guys, didn't get Keyshawn Hall, going to Auburn. Didn't get the high end guy there, but I think Bill said he was gonna go less after names this year, more after fit, and I think these two guys are excellent fit. So, what else do we need? Apache
Oh, man.
King still got to get another big body that can maul the boards. Final Four showed us that 100%. You can't roll into the season with just sophomore season Flory and potential freshman Bryson Tiller. You got to have some more size. Definitely agree with that. White can stretch the floor a little bit. Yes, Trey White, better floor stretcher than what KJ was this last year. I for sure better skilled offensively. I think they're going to kind of be an almost even wash as far as who can have a bigger impact. Jay Hawkins like this. White is Walmart McCullough. I don't know what McCullough is. Is McCullough something better than Walmart, or is Walmart better?
He's Target.
So if McCullough's Target, White is Walmart. But I do think there are a lot of similarities. He's a dog. Both these two guys that Bill Self went out and got in the portal, they are dogs. I think they're guys that play hard. Yeah. So they the play hard meter they definitely hit. And I think they're going to fight and be scrappy out there, which is what KU needs. They need guys that can be physical. I put out there earlier, I said, Flory's stat line for sophomore season, happy with Flory going 10-8. That's about where I have him going. Noah's got 12, and 3.5 blocks. Love that.
Take it.
Robert 15 and 10. I think Flory's somewhere between 10 to 15 points, 8 to 10 rebounds, and hopefully we see some development there. Louisville, yes, thank you, Robert. Louisville was the other school I was forgetting for Trey White. So yeah, what do you want to see next with this group?
Hold on. Yeah. Apache King might need to elaborate here. He's saying something about White got in Brad Underwood's doghouse. What is this? I
do remember seeing something about that. I didn't look into it myself because I wasn't really worried.
Gosh, that scares me. The last thing we need is a locker room cancer. But not saying that's what he is, but like, oh God, that kind of scares me. A lot of people are thinking like, he might be that. I mean, he's probably the candidate for that because he's
as close as Bill Self is with Brad Underwood.
With Underwood, I
wouldn't think like if Brad Underwood thought something about his character was off, he would tell Bill, and Bill wouldn't. I don't think Bill would take him. So I don't know about that. I'm not concerned with it. Right. Before we get into players next, Pokes put in here, what do you expect from DP, Darren Peterson? Similar to Josh Jackson's freshman season with potentially less rebounds but more assists. Yes. I think it's a little tough to kind of project out what he's going to be until we see more of the roster. Would you be disappointed if he's not your leading scorer? Possibly.
I would.
But if it's because he's averaging 12 a night and Flory's averaging 13 a night and you have a balanced attack, I don't know. I think he's got a lot higher floor because of the position he plays. Josh Jackson wasn't facilitating the offense. So I think more of a combination of senior year Frank Mason attacking downhill, but a little bit better distributor. I mean, Frank didn't have to pass the ball that much. Not that he didn't, but I don't think he had to do it that much because he had guys around him that were great. And when the shot clock went down, Frank could go get a bucket. I kind of think Darren Peterson is going to be a blend of a lot of guys. I think he's got a little bit of Malik Newman scoring capability in him, but much higher. I think he's just much more athletic. So it's hard to project, but I would put Darren Peterson's freshman year somewhere around 14 points a game, 4 assists a game, 5 rebounds a game. Because I think he's going to have more around him to be a more balanced offense. I don't think Bill Self's going to go, hey, Darren, you need to score 20 a night. It just doesn't strike me as a Bill Self team.
I don't think he's going
for 20.
Yeah,
he could be that. I'd be happy with it. But
think about it like this. We are talking about Darren Peterson being like the guy, the best recruit since Josh Jackson and Andrew Wiggins for Kansas, the best recruit since LeBron James. Why is he number 2 in ESPN 100? I don't know, but that's ESPN. If people are talking about him. People on the national scale are talking about him being the next thing after LeBron James. I gotta think. Like, I mean, we were saying that about Andrew Wiggins. He came in. What did Andrew average as a freshman?
Yeah,
I think it was like
I think he averaged
16.9.
18.7 a game. He had the
Oh, maybe that's Josh then.
Yeah, Josh averaged 16.3 and 7.5
Okay.
rebounds. I think Wiggins was like 18.7 and 6 rebounds or
Well,
something. Let
then
me pull it
what?
up real quick.
Then you say these averages and like call me crazy, but like if Darren Peterson's not averaging 16 minimum,
17.1 and 6 rebounds a game for Andrew Wiggins freshman year. I know.
see,
I'm just a little
16.9. I was
hesitant
close,
because I
but
think
like,
Darren Peterson's a better distributor and facilitator than he gets credit
yeah.
for. And in high school, you score 40 points a game. That's just what the top recruits do. He just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't strike me in Bill Self's system. A freshman guard does not do that for Bill Self. What was Devon Dotson's freshman stats?
Look, okay, but that's Devon Dotson.
I
This is
know it's
Devon Dotson.
different play. We've never had a freshman guard like Devon or like a Devon averaged 12.3 points a game his freshman season and 3.5 assists. So I would say, yeah, Darren Peterson's floor is higher than that, but Devon Dotson's a different type of point guard.
Let's look up Ben McLemore. What was Ben McLemore? I mean, for me, the player comp is Ben. Ben McLemore's averages are what I'm expecting out of Darren Peterson. Point blank period. Whatever Ben did.
Ben averaged 15.9 a game,
okay,
5 rebounds a game, shooting 87% from the free throw line, 42% from three, which I would definitely take, and 50% from the floor. Yeah, yes. I mean, again, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. I think he's more than capable. I just, as the point guard, I don't know if Bill Self's going to go to that play style to where it's, Darren, you need to go score the ball. Like I want it to be that. We just haven't seen it yet at KU where if Darren's playing the primary point guard role, I just haven't seen it yet. Yeah, DP should get 18 to 20. I'm fine with that. But I don't know. I don't know how confident I feel that that's going to be the result, because I think the way they're going to fill out this roster, I think you're going to have guys around him that can score. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's only averaging 14 to 15 a game and like 5 assists, because KU's got a better cohesive unit that guys can score off of. But yeah, Jackson averaged over 16. I also think he's better than VJ at Baylor, and he averaged 15. It's just, again, freshman at Kansas from a true guard position. And in Ben McLemore's case, he sat a full year before he played, so it wasn't coming in right away and being that. So until I see a true freshman guard do it at a high level, I don't want to put that much on him from a point statistic. So yes, higher than Devon Dotson, absolutely. I would venture to guess it'll be a little bit under what Andrew Wiggins' freshman year was. But again, I'm fine with it being more than that. But let's talk about the rest of this roster for a second. Here, if you're watching on YouTube, and put this up on the screen, here's where the roster sits as of this moment right now. Walk-ons, I don't really know what to give you on that because we don't really know how that's going to work out. We know Jaden Nickens will be here. He probably won't play because he's going to be mostly for football, but he will be on the roster. So your bench, this is for JB's right now.
Welcome.
Obviously, we can have the argument of, does El Marco start? Does Jaden Dawson start? Does Dawson start the 3? He's a little smaller for the 3, but he's physical enough to play 3. We got Jaden Dawson, Jamari McDowell, Summies Calderon, the freshman incoming, Bryson Tiller, incoming freshman, who's been here for a few months, and then returning guard Noah Shelby, who fully expect to actually have somewhat of a role on this team, maybe kind of like a Diggy Coit role. So that's where you're sitting there.
Yeah. There's an asterisk on Noah's name, because I don't think there's any confirmation yet that he's actually going to take a scholarship. But obviously with the change in the rules to where you can have 15 max and your entire roster can be no more than 15, that a lot of these guys might even end up taking scholarships that have been walk-ons. Noah Shelby is one of them that we would expect.
I'd take Darren Peterson over AJ myself because I like his attitude better. I don't like AJ's attitude.
Ooh.
And then Pokes brought up, the reason I brought up VJ Edgecombe is because he's similar to Peterson size-wise. Yep, I'm good with that there. So I count 10 guys on the roster because I'm not really sure about Justin Cross and those other guys at the edge. So theoretically, there's
Yep.
still 5 guys that are getting added to this team. Before we get into names, give me what type of player are you looking for to fill in around this roster? And then I want to have the conversation of, do we still want a Rakese Passmore or Rylan Griffin back?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say
same thing for you guys in the chat. Do you want either of those guys back? Throw it out there.
Please throw it out. We've got it is of the opinion of this podcast that Rakese Passmore would be welcomed back. I feel like if you're a Kansas fan and you say that you don't want Rakese back, then you're essentially saying that you don't want a guy that can develop and should develop into Ochai Agbaji by his senior year. I mean, I really think that's going to happen. I need Rakese Passmore back. I don't know all the reasons behind his decision to go into the transfer portal. My opinion maybe is, if I had to guess, it was probably because he was a little afraid of I don't know, maybe he wouldn't get the minutes that he was supposed to get.
I think he was also a little pissed about the way his minutes were handled, because he didn't get much opportunity, and when he was put in, it was in bad situations.
Yeah, and then he makes one mistake, and it's like, Bill Self back to the bench. That's what freshmen do under our system. I feel like he went in with bad expectations. Unless you're this top recruit like Darren Peterson is, you're probably going to get benched if you come in and you make a mistake. But all that being said, I would gladly welcome back Rakese Passmore, because I just know the way he can develop into. I would absolutely take him back. If we fill out these 5 remaining spots on our roster with really talented players and he wants to come back, it's going to be more of the same from his freshman season. I hate to say that. I hate to put it out there, but it's like, I just wish he could come back and understand that he's going to be a developmental piece and he's not going to be the guy for a while. And that's okay. It's not a problem. It's like, dude, like, you can wait your turn. So many guys before him had to wait their turn. And this is a classic case of someone that we want to develop over 4 years.
I do feel like the longer he's in the portal, the more likely it is he comes back.
He could, yeah.
Because it's kind of like Flory's case, where he put out there, hey, I'm entering the portal, but I'd like to be back. And it's basically like, hey, if I don't find a better offer, can I come back to Kansas? Is that okay, coach? I think KU would take him back, because I think they'd like you said, you have a future potential Ochai Agbaji on this team, and Rakese Passmore, and you want, that athleticism's off the charts. If it can translate to being a solid defender at the 3 spot, you definitely take him. So I'm all for bringing him back. The funny thing is, like Rylan Griffin, you're looking for a player in the portal that is a Rylan Griffin type, a 3-and-D shooting wing that can defend. It didn't work out as well this year with him, but maybe year 2 Rylan Griffin in this current roster would be good. Pokes put this out there. Samis is interesting, an older freshman with elite athleticism. If the portal didn't exist, he could be a star in a few years. I like Samis because I think he's got some length. Again, don't have a lot of success rate with lower ranked freshmen having an impact early on, but I think Samis Calderon could be very interesting, because he's a 3-4 guy that can defend multiple positions. He's athletic enough to play multiple positions, and he's still developing his offensive game. So I think that is someone I'm keeping my eye on as potential. But again, I think we're still going to add to this roster. Apache King asks, is he going to redshirt anybody? At this point, I don't know why you would redshirt if you were in college, because you can enter the transfer portal anyway. So unless you're a guy who's like that walk-on type who plans on sitting, like Noah Shelby did this last year, I don't see a reason why it benefits you that much to want to redshirt. So that's just my thoughts there. But things we're looking for in the portal as I continue on until JB gets back here. I think, to me, the next number one thing left to go after on the portal is a big man. I'm going to try and change the screen here. Oh, now it's just getting wild. Oh, well, we'll move on. A big man, another big man to pair alongside Flory, either a guy that can play the 5 while Flory plays the 4 next to him, or just an upperclassman, big-bodied 5 that's a solid rebounder, solid defender, can come in and be a good in the pick and roll game, like what Mitch Lightfoot did, as he's a big coming off the bench. Maybe a higher ceiling than a Parker Brown, but a guy that you can trust to go get 10 to 12 minutes a night, because Adam said it way back up earlier, but if Flory can't get you 30 minutes a night because he's in foul trouble, you need a reliable 5-man. And I don't think we go into the season with Bryson Tiller being the backup 5. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to add another transfer portal big, so that Flory has a guy that he can play off of at the 4, or a guy that can give him a break that you can trust. I threw this out there or JB put this on Twitter earlier today, and then I threw it out to a few people. What are your thoughts on Nigel Pack and Tyon Grant-Foster coming in? Well, I'm pretty sure Nigel Pack was committing to Oklahoma, if I saw that correctly today. So I don't think that's happening. I personally am all aboard the train of bringing Tyon Grant-Foster back. He's a big-bodied wing that can defend decently, and I think he's developed enough. But Apache King doesn't feel that way. I put it out on Twitter, and a few people did not feel that way. Tyon Grant-Foster can score, and he can rebound, but he's not a great shooter. And I think that's one thing this team needs more of, is shooting. Right now, your best three-point shooter is Jaden Dawson, and then probably Darren Peterson. Outside of that, you don't have much. Maybe Noah Shelby, if he's getting that kind of minutes. So I do think you need a wing of sorts that can shoot quite well from 3. And Tyon Grant-Foster doesn't fit that mold, but would I still take him? Absolutely. I'd figure that out, because if you've got 4 athletes on the floor, 4 more athletes on the floor than what we had this last year, I think that gives you a lot to work with. But I don't know. I've heard some people say, they look at Tyon Grant-Foster like they do AJ Storr. He needs the ball in his hands a lot. He needs to be the focal point, not super efficient. But I like the athleticism there. I think he's stronger, tougher than AJ, and I think he can defend a little bit better and attack the paint a little bit better. So I personally am fine with that. I think Tyon Grant-Foster would be fun. But Nigel Pack, I'm pretty sure, has committed to Oklahoma, so we'll leave that off there. But, yeah, outside of that, big man, scoring wing that can shoot. I think you just need more flexibility in this roster. Trey White was a great addition. I'm not saying I'm penciling him in as the 4-man right now or the 3-man. I think KU could still go get another wing forward type to compete with him. But I think Bill wants to get guys that he can rotate 1 through 4. Apache King put in here, we got to find a way to match up with Houston, big, tough guys, and their guys can all rotate 1 through 5, as we saw against Walter Clayton last night, where they just put the clamps on him for most of the game. So KU definitely needs some more defensive versatility. We just didn't have that last year. So I think Bill's still going to look in the portal for some wing types like that. Oh, we got JB back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So yeah, JB, who are you looking for? I said, probably a big man that can solidify behind Flory / start if need to, if Flory's struggling or if Flory's in foul trouble. And then I think a shooting wing to add some more shooting to this team, because there's not much for shooters yet.
Yeah. Also, sorry, I had to let you go solo for a second. Had a crying baby. But okay, here's the deal. I was kind of listening.
Well, here and Jayhawk edits put in there. I already gave my take, but I want you to get your take off on yay or nay on Tyon Grant-Foster.
Oh man,
there's a lot of mixed reviews from KU fans. I said he's kind of like AJ Storr in the sense of not super efficient, but I'll still take him because he's a bigger bodied wing that can be super athletic and rebound and defend.
Yeah, I can see that. I would say if I had to choose, I would love to take him back. I don't know if he's the best fit for a lot of the same reasons why AJ Storr wasn't the best fit, like you said.
That's fair.
But knowing that he has been in our system already, albeit, years ago now, that gives me a little bit of a sense of peace. And the fact that he would be coming into the system more mature, understanding his strengths and weaknesses, and on a team where he doesn't necessarily have to be the guy, maybe he can excel. I think there's always that possibility that he can excel. And it could be a mentality thing of, hey, I'm coming home. He got his start at Kansas in Division I play, and it would just be great to see him have a homecoming with us. I think it would add a certain life into this program that we haven't had for 2 years now. And I don't know, it's pretty exciting. But like you said, there's potential that he can't be the best fit. We, earlier you were asking about what are the type of guys we need. I was going to throw out there that we just simply need, when it comes to that guy. You saw, if I don't know if you want to throw it up again, but the roster update that I had created, I left small forward empty for this projected starters on purpose. What I fully expect to happen, it depends on who we get, but at a bare minimum, I do think that Dawson's going to end up coming off the bench depending on who we bring in. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a knock on Dawson. It's just, I still think he'll get significant minutes, but I do think he will be our sixth man when all is said and done. That person that's going to fill that role is going to be a guy that's just like the guys that we had winning the title for us. Christian Brown, Ochai Agbaji. If we can get a guy like that can attack and can shoot, I mean, it's like full stop, or full send, I should say, put us in the national title conversation if we can get a guy like that to go alongside a guy like Darren Peterson, assuming he's firing on all cylinders and we have this roster that has been tailor-made to work around Darren Peterson. There's elements. We don't need the all-stars. We don't need the guys that want to come in and be the man. We need what Bill Self is doing, and that's building role players around him, right?
Yeah,
so I think that's huge.
That fit their role well. Fax Bulldog 83, I like this. Stop romanticizing players and get some wings and big men who can shoot.
Thank you.
I love that. So,
Thank
JB,
you.
I know you have an insanely long list in front of you right now of transfer portal targets. Some have been committed already, some have not. Who are 2 or 3 guys that fit what you think Kansas still needs to get that you like in the portal right now?
I actually have a lot of names circled that are kind of far down in the transfer portal list, but let's start with this. Tyler Harris out of Washington. This kid he's going to be a junior coming in. He's got 2 years left. He's a 12-point per game scorer, 49.5% from three. He's a 6'8" guard. He can play the wing for us. He's 6'8". That's big. It's good. We need the size, we need the shooting, and we need someone that can be that three. 12 points per game. I mean, yeah, he's not shooting enough, in my opinion, but he should be 49.5%. I'm taking that. I think that's the highest 3-point percentage I saw in the transfer portal. And man, if we can get that, holy cow. Also, when I walked away, I could still overhear we were talking about getting another big. I have one name who's my favorite. This guy's awesome. Get this. His name is Gabe Dines, I want to say. Is that how you pronounce it? Gabe Dines from Youngstown State. This guy, I just feel like he can be, I don't know if he's going to be a starter for us, but he could be the perfect backup center for us. He's 7'3", and he gets 3.1 blocks per game, dude.
I like it.
We need blocks per game. He scored about 7 points per game, played about 22 minutes a game for Youngstown State. I know it's a smaller school. I don't care. That's been the theme of this transfer portal recruiting class so far, has been, getting some guys, not that Illinois is a small school, but, getting guys that are not necessarily at the top of everyone's list, but that can fill that role. If we need someone who can rebound and block shots, I would love someone who's 7'3" and averages 3 a game at his current school. That's awesome. And I don't need him to get, that 20 minutes a game. I think 7 points per game is respectable. I think as a backup center, come on, bring him in. He would have a huge role, and we do great with big men. Bill Self would know exactly how to use a player like that. This is a kind of player. This is a type of 7-foot plus type of guy that we needed Hunter Dickinson to be, from a defensive perspective. And he's sitting right there in the transfer portal. He's right there for the taking. I need Gabe Dines. That's Dynes. I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced. Bring Gabe to Kansas, pretty please.
I think he'd be He'd be fine right there. I'm not as familiar with this game, so I'm not going to add much to that. But I think what you said, his statistics sound great, and I think that would play well. Um, I keep thinking, as I look at this, I mean, obviously, I don't have a specific big man in mind, but yeah, it's just got to be a guy that can defend the 4 and the 5. Doesn't have to be a capable shooter or that necessarily a solid scorer, but a guy that you can trust to be out there, because Flory's gonna have nights where he's playing 20 to 25 minutes because of foul trouble or he's struggling, and you got to have somebody that you trust to be out there to still get it done. So I think it's gonna be an upperclassman, and I think it's gonna be a guy that has good size for sure. But I keep going back to the wings. I think you need another guy that's 6'7" to 6'8", that's interchangeable with Trey White at the 3 and the 4 spot. A couple guys I like: Elijah Saunders out of Virginia, 6'8", 240. Could even use him as a small ball 5. Comes from a school in Virginia that, even though they don't like to score the ball that much, they know how to play defense out there. And so I think he's going to be a gritty guy that could be capable. Doesn't really excite you that much around the rest of his game, but I think he's one that could be an interesting fit. I also like, my favorite one I've looked at right now is Kennard Davis. Kennard Davis out of Southern Illinois, coming off of his sophomore year, averaged 16.3 points per game, shooting 37.6% from 3, 45.5% from the floor on good volume too. Took about 12 shots a night, 5 threes a game. He's 6'6", 215, plays more of a guard role, but has the frame of a wing small forward. I think he's a floor spacer. I think he's a guy that is athletic enough to fit the mold of what we could do with the 2-3 spot. So I like him a lot.
What's your take on? Sorry to cut you off. But
yeah.
What's your take on Lamar Wilkerson? Lamar Wilkerson out of Sam Houston. He's going to be a senior. He's got 1 year left, and he averages 20.5 points per game, and he shoots, 44.5% from 3. I mean, the guy's 6'5". He's got some decent size, so I don't know. Could he be a wing for us? Probably. A little bit undersized.
I don't know if he would want because that, to me, it sounds like you have Diggy Coit over again, where you have a high volume scorer shooter that comes to a team that he's not going to do that for. I mean, he averaged 35 minutes a night though.
He did.
So that's why he was getting a lot of shots on 35 minutes a night. I mean, that's pretty efficient though. Almost 50% from the floor, 44% from 3. Shooting, dang, he was shooting 7 threes a game. Okay, I think that can translate. Didn't get to the foul line much.
I
didn't rebound much.
I feel like if we get Lamar, we're good.
But that's a good scoring threat right there for sure.
Yeah.
He's got decent size for a 2 guard. Yeah, I mean that would work. That would certainly work for sure. Man, who else?
We talked about, before we went on, we talked about Blake Harper from Howard.
Oh, yes.
So the stats on Blake: 19.5 points per game, 40% from 3, and he's a 6'8" guard. I mean, he could be our wing. 6'8", man, that's good size. We need size. I feel like we were a little bit too undersized recently. Hunter had plenty of size, but didn't do anything with it. So it kind of made me feel like we had a bunch of guys that were like 6'4" or under, and we were just, we were looking up at everybody that we were facing all year long.
Yeah, I agree. Need size. What about? We kind of mentioned it before. We didn't really dive in too much on it, but I think the answer is he wouldn't be a great fit. But Mackenzie Mbako as a 3-4.
Oh yeah.
I don't think KU would actually go after him the way that recruiting went down, but interesting.
Refresh my memory on Mackenzie. I remember that we loved him. I remember that we were
we had an episode that we talked about at the time where he was very likely coming to Kansas. He commits to the Duke, pulls his withdrawal from Duke, or withdraws from Duke, opens his recruitment again. Indiana, Kansas, I can't remember the third school off the top of my head that he was looking at. But he
Lakers
basically
just
was coming to Kansas. Patrick King says he committed. I don't know if that's true or not yet. I haven't looked into that. So if that is great, we'll win the conversation. But I don't think he would come here, and I don't think Kansas will go after him. But again, 6'8", 210, that type of frame is what I'm looking for. Because I don't know. Yeah, he's not a good shooter, which again, this team needs another scoring shooter from the 3-4 spot. Maybe that's Simi's Calderon coming off the bench. I like that. Apache King go overseas for Johnny Furphy.
Yes.
Completely agree, man. Who was that? There was a guy that entered the portal or is eligible. Oh man, this is gonna bother me. I just saw this the other day.
Or like a foreign dude?
Yeah, a foreign guy that is very much potential Svi like, oh, this is gonna bother me. I saw this on Twitter the other day. If anybody knows who I'm talking about in the comment section, feel free to toss it in there. I saw this come out the other day, and a couple of KU accounts, retweeted it. Maybe I can find it on my Twitter page real quick. But he was a scoring wing, another European style guy that I liked a lot. Let me see if I got it in here. But yeah, I wouldn't mind another Svi-like player at the wing spot. But yeah, I think it's got to be someone that can shoot. It's got to be someone that is versatile enough to play the 2-3, the 4. Houston. I mean, I hate to say this, KU used to be that the Big 12 ran through Kansas. I think now the Big 12 runs through Houston. They are, ever since they've gotten to the Big 12, they've been the toughest team to face, and they're a team that plays really hard no matter who's on that team. They just got Pops Isaacs today, which Kansas fans absolutely hate.
Dude.
And so you're going to hate seeing him again next year playing for Houston, because he just screams, 20 a night kind of guy for their offense. So yeah, Houston's tough. So and what do? Houston knows how to guard 1 through 5. They can switch. They can move guys around. Okay, I can't find this guy in the portal I was looking for, but I'll post it eventually if ever I find it. But yeah, I think you need more shooting. You didn't get Josh Dix, which is okay. You didn't get Keyshawn Hall, which is okay. Jaden Dawson, solid fit. Trey White, solid fit, but you need another wing, and maybe it's Rakeem Passmore comes back, maybe Rylan Griffin comes back and takes the next step, because Rylan Griffin we know is a capable shooter. Again, I will still beat the drum that as bad as Rylan Griffin was this last year, I think if he was on this year's team, he would be better because the fit's just so much better. You don't have Hunter clogging the paint. You don't have KJ taking up space. You don't have DeJuan being useless from behind the 3-point line as a scoring threat. So I think Rylan would actually be a much better fit in this group now. And again, yeah, Apache King puts out here, again, you got to match up with Houston, and you got to have physicality. You got to have strong, tough guys that can go face it. So I completely agree with you there. Those are the type of guys KU is going to go after, and I think Bill's going to find some more. There's a lot of guys that KU is always linked to. There's a lot of guys that put Kansas as their top whatever school, whether that's true or not, that KU is recruiting them. But I think that would be interesting. One I brought up on Twitter, and I got a lot of pushback from Ohio State fans saying he was useless, and I didn't really dive into his last year, but former big time recruit Aaron Bradshaw, 7'1" center that signed with Kentucky last year, transferred to Ohio State this year, did not have a good season, but he's in the portal. I like his size, but Ohio State fans said, "Hey, you don't want him. He sucked this year." So I don't know about that. Ooh, you know what we haven't mentioned yet? Let me make sure that he's not signed anywhere before I say this, because he might be number 1 on my list. I don't know if the fit's great now, but I think you figured out if he is. Yes, Trey Holman from Michigan State has not committed yet. He's visiting North Carolina right now because North Carolina lost, was it Ian Jackson?
Ian Jackson, yeah.
Which is another guy that KU could look at for sure. But Trey Holman is one I would still look at. I think he would pair well with Darren Peterson. You just figure it out. Two guys that need the ball, you'll figure it out.
Bro, look at Bob coming in with the optimism. He says, "I'm not worried about Houston next year. The way they choked in the championship game."
That was disappointing because
I'm so pissed.
they dominated a large chunk of that game, and I mean,
They did.
first half, holy cow, the way they put the clamps on Walter Clayton was super impressive, and they played really good. And somehow Florida was only down 3. And you get to the second half, Walter Clayton starts to figure it out. Houston starts to turn the ball over a little bit more. They went away from using Juwan Roberts in the paint as a threat, and they just started settling for bad shots. And then, that final possession to get Emmanuel Sharp the 3, he should have pump faked first off, but then he, of course, has to lose the ball and let somebody pick it up. But yeah, that was a terrible end to it.
You can't touch it.
Florida's been the best team in college basketball for the last 8 weeks, so very deserving of it. But yeah, Houston super choked that one away.
I'm so mad for anyone that's competitive like me and who likes bracket challenges. I was in a situation where I was going to win my office bracket pool if Houston won, and my sales department bracket pool if Houston won, because I was using the same bracket. And instead I got like 20th place because Florida won. There were so many people that picked Florida, and I went from 5th to 20th out of I think it was 58 total brackets, and it was all because Houston lost. I lost out on, I would have won $100 for the office pool, and I would have won $220 for the sales department pool specifically. So I lost out on $320. I was pissed. I was furious. I was fuming.
That reminds
so
me.
Bad.
I'm surprised I haven't mentioned it on this podcast yet, but our bracket challenge obviously ended last night.
Oh my God, dude.
Who was it that won the 2025 KCSA bracket challenge? I know we didn't have as many people as last year, but rumor has it
the gentleman's name is
excellent judge of basketball teams, and it was myself. I did take first.
You did.
Barely won first because I got the Florida upset over Auburn, and I got the Michigan State losing, which helped me out. And then, of course, Houston getting to the national championship, despite the fact that they lost and half of the people in our bracket pool had Houston winning. Them getting to the national championship and beating Duke basically secured it for me. So, yeah, thank you for those of you that joined. Now, again, we did not have near as many people this year as we did last year, and that's okay. We changed our approach this year. But thank you for those of you that joined. But maybe next year somebody else will win.
Wait.
Yes.
Who gets the prize? Because you're no.
I should give. No, I need to go back and look at it. I haven't pulled it up since last night. There was somebody that wasn't one of the 3 of us finished in second, right behind me. So I'll go back and look at it.
I feel like you give the first place prize to that. The prize is for the fans of the podcast.
That's fair.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll go back and look at that. I think I can't remember whose bracket it was. I think his name was Cooper, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I'll go back and look at it. I forgot. I wanted to pull this back up because you did mention Blake Harper. He played KU at the beginning of the season. Scored 16 points on 6 of 10 shooting from the floor. Some have him listed all over the place from 6'6" to 6'8". So clearly he's a guy that is still growing. And I think
going off of 247.
I think that'd be good. But yeah, any other guys you're looking at before we wrap up on here? Oh, you're the one we haven't talked about, and I don't remember if we talked about it last week much. But it's RJ Lewis out of St. John's. Yeah, he's
the number 3 ranked in the portal. He's ranked number 3. He's the top remaining uncommitted transfer portal target.
I haven't seen.
He's the guy. I mean, for me, it's tough. He's a 6'7" guard. Anyone that doesn't know, he's a 6'7" guard out of St. John's. He's got 1 year left. He averaged 18 a game.
And it did finally come out that, obviously it was to be expected, but the being benched at the end of that game really ticked him off, and that was the main reason for him entering the portal. But I mean, he did have a really bad game up to that point, but he's still your best player. You got to keep him out there.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything bad I can say about him.
I think he's most likely going to stay in the draft, so I don't think he's coming back to college.
Yeah, I mean, he's the type of guy I could see either going into the NBA, or just honestly, if he comes back to school, I don't think he would come to Kansas. I think he wants to. I feel like the threat of Darren Pearson I know that sounds kind of weird to say because guys aren't going to be threatened by a freshman most of the time. But I think the threat of Darren Peterson and him being the guy is something that could keep RJ Lewis away from us. Although he would be great. I would love to watch him alongside DP. And I mean, it's like you look at RJ and you look at DP and you're like, who do I guard? Right?
Yeah.
It makes it like you would. I think this past season we were drooling. This past off season we were drooling over the fact of it. We have all these weapons. It's like, who do you guard? Who do you guard? We're gonna make defenses really sweat. And we just ended up being one-trick ponies, just using Hunter and Hunter. That was it. All we did.
It became very easy to defend for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only other guys I was going to throw out there, I kind of don't mind John Bull out of Ole Miss. I think I said that last week. 7'2", 210 pound. He's really skinny for his size, but most of the Bulls in that big family are. But I think he's got some interesting size. One I looked up, he's coming off of back-to-back ACL injuries, which sucks. But Cameron Fletcher from Xavier was at Florida State a couple years ago, averaged like 11 and 6. Solid rebounder, 6'7", 230. I think if the injury concerns, I mean, which there's got to be injury concerns having 2 ACL injuries. But, if you're not looking to get a ton out of him, I think he could be an interesting backup 5 spot. And then another wing player, or what was I looking at?
I've got another
one
name
more
for you.
Go for it, because I had another wing I was going to pull up.
I want to see what everybody in the comment section feels about this name right here. Okay. All the way down at 259 right now in the transfer portal is Kyle Cuff out of Syracuse.
He was on my list to ask you about too. Former Jayhawk would be very much a role piece for sure.
Come on. Let's bring Kyle Cuff back. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Just bring all the former KU guys back. I'm for it.
I was texting the podcast group about Marcus Adams. Oh my God, the debacle that was Marcus Adams Jr., dude. Marcus Adams, he was a shady dude, right? And he was like, what did he do with? He had committed to Gonzaga, and then he
commits to Kansas.
Yep.
Gets here over the summer, and rumor has it that his first 2 weeks he either got homesick or just did not feel like he could handle Bill Self season. And I don't even think he made it to boot camp yet because he didn't even enroll in classes, to my understanding. Yeah, then goes into the portal. Notes that he just wasn't ready. There was a little bit of I need to do what's best for my mental health as far as being where I need to be. And what he commits to, was it BYU first or Gonzaga first?
I think it was Gonzaga first. He ends up
commits to Gonzaga like 5 days later, pulls out of that, commits to BYU, sits the bench, plays in the first game, and then
did he get hurt?
Redshirted? No, I don't think so. I think he either redshirted or the same thing, and then withdraws, goes to D2 or D3 somewhere, and
Cal State Northbridge,
and had a good season, as you said. He had a very good season.
And he averaged 16 points per game, and he shot 39% from 3.
Yeah, and now he's at Arizona State, and we will see him this year.
He's transferring to Arizona State. Kind of lame. But I hope we beat the brakes off of Arizona State and Marcus Adams, because he kind of got our hopes up. We were on this podcast talking about him, saying, oh, he's going to be great.
Him, MJ Rice, who also is not playing anywhere.
God.
Same kind of thing. Couldn't figure it out. I don't know what's going on there with him, but
yeah.
That's all I got for now. I think we'll know something else by the end of this week. I think we'll get another.
Yeah.
We're at that point now. Now that the tournament's over, you have guys that are still declaring for the draft and those intentions there. I think we'll get one more this week, and then maybe it'll be slow for a couple weeks, and then it feels like Bill Self does this most years, where he gets a guy that pulls out of the NBA draft that you don't expect to, and because he's like, hey, I was gonna be a top 35 pick, now I'm 35 to 60. So maybe I come back for an NIL deal instead. So I think there will be somebody like that KU lands. But yeah, again, I'm going, you got to have another big man, a reliable big man you can bring in, and another shooting wing that is a versatile 3-4 defender. To me, those are the top two things left. I think you have enough around with what you got to fill in a decent roster. And again, I'm still in favor. I'd love to see Riquise Passmore back because I think he could be one of those wing threats. But
I think we've got 5 spots left, you guys. If we use those 5 spots entirely, I think it's going to look like this. I think it's at least 2 more transfers. I think it's potentially bringing back Riquise Passmore. Maybe he redshirts. There was a question earlier, way earlier in the comments of will we redshirt anybody? I don't know. I feel like that's difficult. That's difficult because it's like the roster change makes things a little bit difficult. You have all these players at our disposal, and we all know that Bill Self's not going to play 15 guys. So do you redshirt people anyway? And they're using up a scholarship, but you're not going to use them probably. Maybe it's for the betterment of our guys. I think it's going to be the 5 more spots. It's going to be 2.
This is a threat. JB was way before your time in Kansas. You probably don't have any memory of this, but Micah Downs was the Svi Mikhailuk before Svi Mikhailuk was. Gosh, was Svi even born yet? Yeah, Svi would have been like 2 or 3 at this point. But Micah Downs was coming into Kansas. He was going to be this big time wing scoring shooter. Him and I think there was another guy like Alex Galindo. It was part of that David Padgett. It was one of Bill Self's first classes. After because like David Padgett was coming in, but he was Roy Williams' last recruits, and Micah Downs that year. And then Micah Downs just like the next like 1 second, it's hey, I'm coming to Kansas, and then boom, out of left field, Gonzaga. And he had a pretty decent career at Gonzaga. But yeah, that team, there were a lot of guys. You had Alex Galindo that transferred during that time to I want to say Miami of Florida. And you had there was another guy that transferred to Cal back. Omar Wilkes transferred to Cal back then as another guard. And so yeah, Bill Self's first year he had to, because again, those were guys that were recruited by Roy, so got to go get his own guys. But yeah, transfer portal giveth, transfer portal taketh. It's still wild every single day, every single week.
Oh my gosh.
Grateful that Flory's back. And excited for Trey White and Jaden Dawson, but also looking forward to see who else we had.
I was looking ahead to the following season because I do this every time. I just like to torture myself. But with how small the roster is now, and with the guys that we're bringing in are already older. I think are they both going to be? Yeah, they're both going to have 1 year left, so they're both coming in for 1 year. I was just looking at what's the roster going to look like 2 years from now, and there's like 3 names. I'm like, oh my god!
Yeah, because even the guys you have now, like Bryson Tiller as a freshman and Simmy's Calderon as a freshman, you have no clue if they're here next year. And I think that's why Bill said that. I think it was Hawk Talk one of the last couple of weeks of the season. Somebody asked him about how do you recruit in this stage now, and he goes, well, you still want to recruit for the future, but you have to just recruit for this season and then worry about the next season when it's off season. He goes, I don't think we're going to do the same style of recruiting to where during the season you're building up next year's roster. It's nope. As soon as the season ends, it's all in on this next year. And that's all in on this next year. And I don't mind it. I think just this year the approach is instead of getting names in the portal, it's getting the right fit. Get the right fit, then I think you've got something great. Because I think Dawson has a higher upside than what Isaiah Moss was when he got here. Good shooter, but much better defender. I mean, I think Trey White is a similar addition to what you were getting in Kevin McCullough. I don't think he's going to be what Kevin McCullough was senior year before injury, but if he can still give you 10, 11 a night, 4 to 7 rebounds a night and play solid defense and be a guy that you can trust, I think you feel pretty good with that. So I like what we've done so far. It's taken a little while to get there, but I like it so far and feel much more confident now than we did 7 days ago. That's for sure.
Oh, it's so much better. But
so have patience.
It's going to get better, guys. We've got these spots to fill, and there's going to be more transfers. There could be Riquise returning, and hey, maybe even another walk-on or two that we already have fills a roster spot, or fills a scholarship spot out of, just necessity, but also giving them a chance. And I think that we can really build something special. I think we're off to a good start. These guys aren't high on the transfer portal list, but that's okay. I can't reiterate that enough. That it doesn't matter that these guys are lower on the ranking of the transfer portal. What matters
Honestly,
is if
less
they're going to be
pressure
the right
too.
fit.
Less
Oh yeah,
pressure. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, we'll wrap up there. Thank you for those that have joined us tonight live. Thank you for those that listen or watch later. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. We've picked up about 50 subscribers in the last 10 days, so thank you for those new subscribers out there. Go drop us a follow on Twitter as well, because we need to build up that following too. So go do that. Like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts for us. That is Spotify and YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can follow us there. You can follow JB at Call Me John Bruno. You can follow
That's
myself at Keeganator_11 on Twitter. We're both tweeting a lot more sports now. But appreciate you guys for joining us in this one. Always more KU basketball talk every single week, as well as Chris and I will have our Royal stuff coming up this week. Have some little Chiefs NFL draft talk. I have to talk a little bit of KU football too, as they're wrapping up spring football practices right now. So a lot to get into. So again, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. And as always, we will catch you guys in the next episode.
Rock chalk.